What is up, people? So this is what we're gonna do. Oh, like I said, I kind of wanted to do the geoengineering, weather monitor news, and just shit that's going on. I'm gonna do a little bit more, so this is gonna be how it starts, and then basically I'll just cut this up and do it then. Yeah, well, and I'll say what's up to everyone, and I'll address that. Damn, there's a lot of people. What's up, Soul? What's up, Dominique? What's up, Sean Smith? We can talk teleportation after. Let me see. Who else is here? What's up, Grizz? What's up, Matrix? What's up, OK Go 123? What's up, GPS? Someone else in here. Celius, or what, I don't know how to even pronounce that name. What's up, the Plain Truth? What's up, Travis? You're welcome to come on after I do my little geoengineer report stuff. If you wanted to do one-on-one, let me know. I can see you if you tag me, so just let me know. What's up, Jose? And Jose, you're more than welcome to go enjoy MC Tune and Grim. Have fun. Sounds like a good one. What's up, Barney? And yes, Bob, that guy is live. Guess what? So am I. What's up, Flat Earth Unity? Or on what? I don't even know. Unity? What is that? I don't know. What a Flat Earth. What's up, Thane them? Who else is here? The Rumpus Troll. I like you already. All right, so this is how it's gonna work. I'm kind of gonna go over some stuff. If you guys hear something or have a question, just tag me in the chat and I will address it. I do see it all the time now. And then yeah, I can do that. You said, could you please give an uneducated people, me, a brief roundup of the theories around geoengineering and chemtrails, please? I'm not sure if there's much of a theory, as much as it is a. Are they applying the science that they've learned to do this with, or not? If we're talking geoengineering, we're talking large scale. That's the big thing. There's a huge difference between cloud seeding, weather modification, and geoengineering, all with their own repercussions and all just as bad, I think. No, seeding isn't as bad. Seeding has potential to be bad, though. But yeah, I can go into a little bit more in depth. Whereas chemtrails, chemtrails is real, 100%. Contrail is a chemtrail. They did spray chemicals. They do spray aerosol sulfates into the sky. NASA does it. Other various agencies do it for their own reasons. NASA does it so when their satellites are trying to read the atmospheric conditions, they're actually able to have a way of seeing it. So yeah, I think a lot of the chemtrail, scared idea of it is from that. Not understanding that, yeah, they do spray, but no, it's not robots. And it's just become a bad taste in everyone's mouth when you hear chemtrails. So I try not to say it, but it's reality. There's also many reports saying that show that those contrails have the same ability as solar radiation management, not in the sense of how long it lasts, but as in it does affect our climate in a certain extent. Sean Smith says ionize for better conditions. The problem with doing that is then you're then altering. That's better yet. That's still local. Saudi Arabia does that. Uses the ionized weather seeding, cloud seeding, and it's the opposite. So basically, regular cloud seeding that we see over the U.S., which I'll show you guys today because I had a couple questions about people about how often they spray. and I kind of be able to have something that I can show you guys. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. What's up, Montreal? How you doing, sir? But yeah, let's kind of get into it. Like I said, if I have questions or anything, go ahead and tag me. Whereas I'll add in the geoengineering stuff. This is kind of more of the reports of why I think this, obviously, this geoengineers, climate change, this reports that are coming out by the IPCC are ways of money grabs. I think Trump is taking advantage of it. All he's had to say is climate change is a hoax, and the reality of it is it's not a hoax. It's real. The issue is how much is it actually affecting us, affecting the real climate? And the reality is it 100% is affecting the climate. We as humans 100% are at a part of that. Barney definitely can't help me understand that it's far from where it should have been. We should have started a long time ago, but we didn't. What's up, John? And now would only be starting a fix for the next 20, 30 years. I get that. Issue is that the solutions that they're putting forth aren't solutions. And if they're ideas of solutions, then why is there so much money to be made, not had, made off this stuff? One of the biggest culprits that I will continuously say and talk about is David Keith. He's the Harvard professor that's running the ScopeX geoengineering study, which again they keep pushing the date back, but in reality there's two reports that I had, but I want to look through them a little bit more to be more thorough on what it says. But apparently, rumor is that they've already started. The time they're going to be actually making it more public will be when they put it forth towards legislation to pass laws allowing the geoengineering. Because again, it's still illegal. Dominic, I think it's more than them trying to look like they're doing something about it, because all you really got to do is pass some laws, emission laws, and that's all that works. All that should work, and it has worked. The issue is now that they're putting such pressure on us to change, yet the fossil fuel companies are making more money than they ever have, and apart with it being with one of those solutions, it doesn't make any sense. I'm talking about carbon capture and with the scrubbers that they put in the plants. Basically what they're doing is they're taking that CO2 that they capture from the machines and basically using it for EOR. It's called it's advanced, or it's basically oil recovery from dry wells, quote unquote dry wells. They're producing almost 1,000 times more per day using this method. So to me, it's a joke to hear and them say that it's a solution when really all they're doing is putting more emissions into play. Because the biggest issue with this carbon capture, and the reason why it does not work logistically, is the fact that it still takes more carbon dioxide. That means of all the machines being used, the trucks and everything that transfers it, you name it. They're still putting out more emissions than they're capturing, making it pointless, except for the fact that the government pays subsidies and tax breaks for capturing it. Oh wait, those subsidies and that tax break are for industries that are basically put in a situation where they have to be at a set price or at a set market and can't, really make any gain. But they're making 1,000% more. That's just all there is to it. It's insane how it works. It's insane that they've created this market where they can just get money hand and fist. Now, over the past 2 years, the IPCC has been, progressing their report and telling us how we need to cut emissions. Explain how we're supposed to be cutting emissions while Trump's opening up oil rigs and all this, some other things that we're going to talk about. It doesn't make any sense. Obama made it so they couldn't drill offshore. He threw that out. It sounds kind of, hippie-ish, but at the same time, I mean, think about that. Travis, actually, thank you because your observation that kind of made me look more into the oil rigs that are off our coast. There's over 300 off Southern California's coast alone. We don't see that shit, and they don't tell us about it. You know, yeah, they leak a lot. But more importantly, our national parks. You know why they're national parks? Because then becomes land that's protected and will never be touched, right? How does Trump open up 9 million acres for drilling in Alaska? Beats the fuck out of me. Money, maybe? All he has to do is say he denies climate. And that's it. No evidence, no proof besides the fact that if he does, he makes money. Kind of funny. Okay, so yeah, Dominic, what a lot of countries are doing, and here's the biggest crux, because I've said this before, when they do this geoengineering, it becomes a world thing. It's not just here in the United States. And I came to light, and I have a list. I have to better prepare it, but there's a lot of countries that don't give a fucking rat's ass about climate change, and one of those big countries is Saudi Arabia. Like, and not to mention they are the largest producers of these greenhouse gases. So how they're gonna fix everything beats the crap out of me. But the realization is that coal burning, it's you make more money. That's the realization. You make more money than when you're in the green energy business. One of the things that they're doing a lot of is the reason, if you looked up carbon capture and sequestration, you'll notice that most of the players in that are the actual oil companies themselves. Actually, let's go into this. I want to show you this. Show you exactly what I mean. So, where they're expressing as if carbon capture is going to be a sequestering carbon dioxide in the ground, so it's out of the atmosphere, is almost bullshit. Because if you look up any of these sites, I'll have the links in the description, probably at the end. But this is what we're looking at now. Hang on, I'll stretch my back. Perfect. Okay. Sorry. What we're looking at right now. This is a very small operation, just so you guys know. This is Lost Cabin gas plant. It's a carbon capture project in Wyoming. It says it was constructed in 2011, but realistically, it was built in 1995. It's weird, but basically, what they do is they capture the carbon dioxide. Now, here's the kicker: Lost Cabin is a gas. What do you call it? It basically takes in all the carbon dioxide. So basically, companies will deliver. They'll empty their trucks at this place. Where this place is, what this place does is it then pipes carbon dioxide to different oil plants, where they can then use it to extract more oil. If you haven't heard, this is one of the projects. They 100% go through Lost Cabin to get their CO2, and basically there are thousands of these places everywhere. Yes, sorry, thank you. Gas refineries. Basically, they're the ones who make all the mixing and doing stuff. We'll get into more of those in a little bit, but more importantly, what I mainly wanted to talk about was Trump's report, or basically the EPA's report, that they're going to be basically restricting or taking the restrictions. Taking the restrictions off of methane. And I started looking into it, and one of the big problems that I was seeing is, for years and 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 years, we've all been told methane is extremely dangerous and it's bad for the climate. It's one of the major greenhouse gases. It's one of the big four. So I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How does that work where it's just doesn't matter? And lo and behold, I went through a bunch of reports, and yeah, I mean, it matters. This is one. This is one of these this is a government agency, so to let you know, that made me really realize where they're playing this ball game at. So I told you that what they want to do is capture CO2. Well, here's the thing: they don't understand what it takes to actually sequester it for the thousands of years that they're talking. Why does this matter? Because when you capture millions of tons of carbon dioxide in the ground, if that carbon dioxide finds its way into the atmosphere, for one, you've now wasted millions of dollars for nothing. Two, if you're close enough to a city and that pocket of CO2 that's pretty damn dense, so it floats in a big pocket, reaches a city, people die. And this isn't like a comic book, ha ha ha, that couldn't happen. Shit, this is real. This has actually happened. I showed you guys the report about that village that died. I think it was 700, 1,200 people died in a village when a natural carbon dioxide pocket opened up from a lake. Yeah, it really is. It's not something you want to fuck with. But yeah, I wanted to show you this because in this report, this is again a government agency. This is during climate change. Are telling us how safe it is. How safe storage is. Simple. We're gonna go ahead and dig it, and we bury it, and it'll be buried for thousands of years. It'll be fine. And it's really crap. That's bullshit. Here's the other thing. So I'm looking in here, and I get to the myth. It says carbon dioxide injection is unlikely to be safe because it is expected to migrate to the surface. Again, it does happen. It has happened. If we're lucky enough, it's in an area that there's nobody around. If we're unlucky, like we have been, it'll suffocate people, and they won't even know it's there. So, like I said, this is what real propaganda looks like. This is what This isn't New World Order, not yet at least. This isn't the BS of a conspiracy theorist. This is literally showing you real propaganda that is still online to this day. I want to go to show you a different one, some other reports that I was looking at, and so on this one, we gotta go to this. Hang on. Yep, there we go. Perfect. So this one is a methane report. It's basically giving you the lowdown on methane and its what it does in climate. So this one says just on methane and other important greenhouse gases. It says, can you see that good? All right, maybe dark. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why this website did it. What are the concerns about it? It says methane leaks into the air before being used from leaky pipes, or for instance, it absorbs the sun's heat, warming the atmosphere. So basically, what this report is talking about is the fact that methane it leaks into the atmosphere through more sources than CO2, which comes from the combustion or the energy of an engine being used. So everything I've heard and talking to people, they've said this right away. Methane doesn't last as long. Well, okay, that is actually true. The problem is just because the methane doesn't last as long doesn't mean it doesn't affect just as much. I don't know why I just switched because I wanted to go to that. Sorry about that. Like for this one, like I was saying, this is a report, and again, this is a government website. Or is it? I don't even remember what site it is. I retract that last statement. I have to check first. Yep, actually it is. It's part of a government agency. So basically, because I remember now, because this was a methane awareness website. So it says, while while methane doesn't linger as long in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, it initially far devastating to the climate because of how effectively it absorbs heat. In the first 2 decades after its release, methane is 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide. We might address both types of emissions if we want to effectively reduce the impact of climate change. About 25% of the man-made global warming we're experiencing is caused by methane emissions. So my question is how does that make any sense for Trump and them to be doing, to be, ending the restrictions and emissions on it? Doesn't make sense to me. Yes, I am a conspiracy theorist, but can you explain to me what part of this did I miss? What part made me assume something that you see is perfectly fine? That's the funny part to me. Now, like I said, I am biased to this topic 100%. I do most of my efforts to find them doing it, but it's the way it is, and unfortunately, Travis, it is real. Guys, I'm gonna be doing I know these are real short and quick, but I'm gonna do it like that. That's pretty much all it's gonna be, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this clip and then have it uploaded again. But let me see. Now that is fun and done, you guys can ask questions, and I'm also going to open the panel. Regardless of who comes on, regardless of how many people are here, there may be, and I'm going to start saying this so everyone doesn't seem so shocked. There's going to be a situation where someone's in and it needs to be just a one-on-one. Live with it. You guys got to understand that that's how it's going to start working, because chaos is not going to happen here anymore. That's just a personal thing. It doesn't mean from anyone or because anyone did anything, so I don't think so. All right, so let's go ahead and share the link. Get you in here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to throw the link in. And yeah, good luck, Grim. Have fun. Yeah, hey, Grim, what are you guys even debating? Or Gleam, I'm sorry. What are you guys even debating? I mean, you're not even a flat earther, dude. So what's the debate? If the topic's good enough, I may stop in and stream me watching your debate stream and see if you're losing or not. I mean, it's got to be a good topic, seeing how it's not going to be about flat Earth or not. All right. What's up? Hello? There you are. What's up? Hang on, let me make it so everyone can hear you. And see. Where is it? All right. All right, now everyone can see you guys. What are you up to?
I just wanted to say that I actually agree with your statements about CO2 emissions and the fact that it's not just the American government, it's every government around the world is just hiding the fact that this is what's causing half our issue.
Oh yeah, and to make it worse is these markets that I was talking about, I mean, they're making money left and right, hand over fist, from taxes that they're now putting on everyone.
Yeah, they reduce it by 1% and they get like $1 billion in tax breaks.
So here's the problem with that. So they're giving carbon credits every fiscal year to allowance, basically, of how much emissions your plant is allowed to emit. Yeah, they're allowed to sell any unused credits at whatever cost to whoever, and they're also able to buy credits. Now, here's the funny part.
Yeah.
There are countries that don't even have any, large power plants that are given credits. And yeah, they sell them.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
no, my country sells them to China.
yep. And they do this all the time. This has been going on for a while. And all they got to do is stay inside the bracket of which credits they have, and they still get these subsidies and tax breaks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And we jumped out of the Kyoto Protocol.
But we jumped out a bunch of
Australia
them.
jumped out of it.
Yeah.
And
that's scary because a lot of what they want to do right now is geoengineering to fix things now.
It won't work.
Yeah, because I was reading about the Great Barrier Reef, and I guess it's bleaching right now, and they're giving
it
us
is. It has been bleaching for years.
Yeah, they're giving us the impression that this bleaching thing means dead, gone. But what's not being told is bleaching is a defense that the coral has, and it does this quite not a lot, but it does it. And they know it does it for the idea of basically going dormant until it's safe, until water cools. It does this during hot periods in the years.
Yeah, they have a fossil record of bleaching of coral about 65 million years ago. That's fascinating. What happened then?
Yeah, but I think part of the issue was that the periods are getting shorter and shorter in between the bleaching.
And
yeah,
we see it in the news every week.
And here's the thing. They'll contribute that to the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere because the ocean absorbs so much of it. What they're not telling you is they're also amping up that process by putting iron in the ocean. It's called ocean fertilization, and which basically excites the phytoplankton, which then absorb more CO2. But worse, if they hit red tides, then you start going into the Dead Sea type shit, and it's not uncommon for pockets of oceans to be dead like this because of red tides.
Yeah, they by increasing the iron, they increase the salt content of the ocean too, which they deny. But because the plankton is part of the salt cycle in the ocean, they don't realize that by exciting the plankton, you're exciting the salt action in the ocean because of their byproducts. And yeah, they don't tell you about this shit.
Yeah, and that's I hate when this happens. Acidification. I think that's pretty good. Of the ocean.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And think of it this way: you check your pH levels in your pools and your drinking water. Well, the ocean has one too, and that's basically what it accounts to. And that's being affected. That you can go and get the numbers and see for yourself. And here's the thing I hear a lot of, and I think Travis was saying in the chat, that climate change isn't real. Here's the thing. It is real. How do I know? Because we didn't have power plants and coal mines and all that. We didn't have that shit 300 years ago. So we added a lot of stuff to that. The best analogy is go in your garage, start your car, and tell me how safe that is. That's the realization of it. And all those flat earthers who believe we live in a dome, we'd be dead by now.
Yeah.
The earth has no way of filtering off that without space.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If we lived in a container, we wouldn't have the entropy required to get rid of certain gases. Simple physics.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I don't have the greatest understanding of physics, but I know what works.
Yeah, well, it's even worse because I'm just learning it, and a lot of it's self, so I have to go back 1,000 times to recheck what I say, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it.
But yeah, global warming's been on the radar for over 100 years.
Oh yeah, and one of the big things that really started me looking into, the fossil fuel companies. Because again, like I was saying, one of the red flags to me were that they were such a part of this carbon capture. And there's I've ran my own business. There's one thing that every business goes by, and it will never change. They're never going to put themselves out of business. The fossil fuel companies weren't going to do this big emissions change to get to zero emissions without thinking about the money part of it. And they found it. They get to capture carbon, which again, they produce more capturing that carbon to then enhance oil recovery and make more money. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah. Yeah, let's produce more carbon so we catch more carbon to get more credits to be able to produce more carbon.
Yep, that's exactly how it goes. And they're playing people, basically. Now, here's the part that my skeptic part comes out. I don't think geoengineering is going to be a good idea because, one, we don't understand it enough. Two, there's a much bigger issue. The governance of it. If you thought the Cold War was fucking entertaining, get ready. Because this is, and people are going to love this, because this is the conspiracy tard in me. I honestly believe this is the start of that new world government, or one world government. Hear me out. To be able to do this geoengineering, solar radiation method, basically there has to be someone governing it, someone overseeing it. Because one, if you're changing the climate of the world by spraying aerosol sulfates in the sky to blanket the sun's UV rays, you're then changing how climates are in countries around the world. So who's to say that the United States doesn't get their turn and, it's time to go over Iran. Let's put some more aerosols so some issues happen, or less so something happens. That becomes a weather modification weapon, which is, again, illegal under the NROD treaty. Yep. Stuff like that is the issue in that realm of it. So who gets to regulate who's going to do the most and where, how much they're going to do, and whatnot. That is the biggest issue. So it will be, so the UN is supposed to be like the moderator and all this shit. Well, imagine this entity, this country, this whoever becomes the leader of this project, this geoengineering project, will be the one world government. And guess what? You can't debunk that. Why? Because that's exactly what's needed to have it go, and that's what they're saying. They need someone to regulate it and oversee it. And
yeah, well,
worldwide, go ahead.
I've noticed something that a lot of people on both sides of the fence of conspiracy, so the debunkers and then the partial conspiracy theorists and then the actual conspiracy nuts, they have decided that there's going to be a paradigm shift.
In the
governments.
No, I don't think there ever will be. And here's the thing. For a long time, I thought, how do we solve the shit going on now? And there's only one way. But will that happen? Because it should have happened over and over again if it was possible. But our kids, their kids, those are the only possible ways we're going to be able to fix this. We have to raise our children some way. I don't know, because even I can't say I know. But that's the only possible way it's ever going to happen. Not us. We're not going to do it. Sorry. No, it doesn't matter if I came out with the biggest scandal in the world and it solved everything and I was a hero. It doesn't matter. What I do does not change shit. It has to be the future. And it sounds really hippie-ish, but that's the reality of it.
No, that's exactly. If you look at Hitler Youth, that was the same exact thing. Raise the children to be great soldiers for the cause.
Oh. It was in our food cupboard.
Oh. Sorry, my missus just found a giant spider in one of our cupboards.
Oh, I'm not going out there no more.
What kind of spider?
Oh, just a brown recluse.
It's now in the toilet. It was about the size of, let's say, you guys wouldn't know what size our 20-cent piece is.
Better analogy, please.
How
about a socket?
Okay. Yeah, probably about a 16, 17 mil socket.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good size.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good size spider.
Did you flush it?
Yeah.
Did you make sure it flushed?
Yeah.
They hold on to the walls. Go
yeah,
check. Go
he
check it
flushed.
again.
He gone.
No,
he
go
gone.
check.
Plus,
go check.
plus half a can of fly spray.
Okay, good. Never mind. And the missus is kind of dizzy, but we got it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a wolf spider? Have you ever seen a wolf spider?
Only on the
Yeah,
internet,
we call them jumping spiders here.
Yeah, those things they get huge here in Florida.
Yeah, they eat birds.
Yeah, they're huge. The size that I can kind of think of, the biggest one I've seen is probably like a pitcher's mitt.
Yeah. They got like 1-inch fangs on them.
Nope, not where I live. I live in California.
That's because you guys have been sending your spiders across the U.S. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, no. It's not a conspiracy. We openly do it. We're sending you all our crazy shit that we don't want discovered here, so it can be discovered there. That's how it works. Perfect.
Yeah, we keep sending it on boats, but they kept getting dropped off in Hawaii.
Good thing for a hub. But before I forget, and because B-Ball for Life is here. Okay, so check this out. Sunday, I was on 24/7, and I got the opportunity to talk to Doxy. If you guys don't know who that is, I don't want to say the name because it upsets her. She was a predominant leader of a Discord server that rhymed with nice wall, and but she's back, and she's under the name of Doxy. And I had a fun little back and forth with her where she made these very outlandish, weirdest claims that kept contradicting everything she said. And those clips will be ready next stream. So tomorrow, get ready for that. It's gonna be fun. And if you don't know who I'm talking about still, too bad. Anyway, she
collusion.
Well, we got into the topic of curvature and obstruction. Mainly boats, and she's under the guise that atmosphere can obstruct, and in this situation it can't. And I asked her the most basic question: so when a plane flies away from us or a rocket takes off, do we witness it disappearing at all, bottom up? Because perspective is the reason. And if it is the reason why boats appear to have obstruction, then it should happen everywhere, not just in the ocean. Because again, the ocean isn't obstructing it, it's this weird atmosphere. So it should be possible everywhere. Then she contradicts herself and says something else about atmosphere. I don't remember. But she issued me a challenge to say how I could see how this is true. And again, I asked her about the bottom up, and she then said, I don't know, which was funny. But the challenge was, and my request to B-Ball for Life, because he has a drone that can actually get some good altitude. And again, I've decided that, yes, I'm going to be doing a lot of tests and recording them and showing them. But I want to make something clear. Like science, I need help. I don't have time to do them all. So I reach out to someone who is honest, credible, and has the ability to do what I need done. And if he can do it for me, it would be a big help, which is I need you to fly your drone above a house or a object, basically. And I need you to gain altitude until that object leaves sight, so you can no longer see it. Because this is what flat earthers are telling me will prove that boats do not get obstructed by curvature, but due to atmosphere. Because here's why. Because we look through more atmosphere going sideways than we do up and down. And what she says is that it will show us 100% obstruction. There will be obstruction there because of the perspective. So
But
I need. Yeah, go ahead.
no.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you want to do. You want like basically the camera pointing directly down,
Yep.
and to gain altitude, so you're actually looking through more atmosphere.
Yep.
But it's just the vanishing point and
Exactly.
not atmosphere. Yeah.
But one thing will not happen: obstruction.
That's the thing. If they claim that the atmosphere has this diffraction, refraction, all that stuff, there has to be a gradient for that to actually happen. Believe it or not.
Hmm? Yeah,
It's in the calculations.
That's actually in the recording I have. She talks about, she wanted to go through the gradients, and she used word salad a lot in it. Like, for instance, she wanted me to imagine a fish tank with different medians in it, and instead of using actual medians, so we could actually have a refraction incident or a number for the index of refraction of that median. She said stuff like just colors. So it was black, and it was like, the further away you are, you won't be able to see it. And again, I'm like, you're not making sense. The reason, like, it was tomorrow. It's already ready. All I gotta do is play it, but I didn't want to do it today. I want to do it tomorrow. So tomorrow will be the doxy recording conversation.
What did she think? You could just put black food coloring in the water, and it would make a gradient.
I think.
Yeah, I have no idea. I do know that if you're going through fishing line and things like that, certain colors will show up as different colors underwater, just because of the amount of light that gets into it. But that's into the fluorescence and mono and all that other stuff, the light spectrum that goes around it, or that catches inside the mono.
Yeah, they find its yellow fluorescent fishing line actually is more attractive for fish compared to green for some reason.
Yep, something about the light spectrum in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she gave me homework and said, you should really look up how the eyes work, Sean. I said, you're right.
Oh,
okay.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She's very contradictive. Is that the word I'm looking for? She wants to make you feel stupid when you have a conversation with her. That's her goal.
Oh, but you have to do the experiment.
Condescending.
Yeah.
She's condescending.
Yeah, very, very. Yep.
Yeah. This thing where the guys defending something have to do the experiment to prove it wrong.
Well, they're not going to do it.
I don't get it.
Well, that's the thing. They haven't done it. So in their mind, it may work. Where in reality, hell no. Don't even try.
Hmm.
See.
Well, that's a lot of them. It seems like is you go do all the work. I will sit back here and wait for your answer.
And the thing is that it's not a lot of their faults. Some of them are just, that's how they know flat Earth. You guys need to answer our questions because our questions are being sequestered, and it's just a lot of them that's how it is. And in my opinion, fuck it, let's do it, ballers. I mean, real shit. If in my opinion, if you're in this discussion, you should be interested in learning some shit. And if not learning some shit, teaching some shit. What else are you here for? And I'm not saying everyone has to, but I mean, this is a good way of looking at it. I'm not saying everybody has to, but why not? You get to learn more about where you live. You get to teach someone something that they didn't know. Remember, I am no longer a flat earther because Globers that I had surrounded myself with took the time to help me understand stuff. That's where it's at. If fuck friends, fuck that stream does it this way, that stream does it that way. And unless you have an understanding, your opinion of where we live shouldn't even fucking matter.
that's what I like about your streams and Jose's streams, is that it's more about education than pushing the point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I get that way sometimes where I get really pushy, like seek and find, but I have a very slow progression to get to that point. If, in my opinion, anyone's ever heard me yelling at somebody or cutting them from being on my panels, I've started off very slow, and I give them warnings. I give them many warnings, and then I get triggered and I snap. That's how I work. I don't ever just attack. I don't do that. It's not how I roll. I don't like doing that at all, especially because it's over a
Like
computer.
Travis the other day.
I'm not exactly 100%.
Sean, can I ask you a question then?
Oh, 100%.
Right. So, if you go back to when you were a flat earther,
Mhm.
and you were listening to the streams, and a flat earther would come on, they'd ask their questions, they'd be given examples of how things work and everything else, but yet then turn round and rejected it and just claim, no, it's a lie or it's a misunderstanding without giving any explanation. What way, as a flat earther, did that come across to you and your journey through gaining your understanding of where we live?
Oh, perfect. I would go, well, fuck that. I'm going to find out. And I start researching. The difference between how I acted and felt I perceived myself is that it didn't have to be flat to me. It may not have, you know what I mean? I get asked this, and this is frustrating, but then I started realizing it's not. I shouldn't be frustrated by it. I get asked this a lot. Were you really a flat earther? And the reality of it is I don't know. I was a flat earther because I didn't have a good understanding of the globe. So maybe I wasn't a flat earther. Maybe I was just a glober who had zero understanding, and it made sense to be flat earth until then. I don't know. But the reality of it is I understand we live on a globe now. So my flat earth time is not something that I ever felt once I had to be. I knew very damn well there was a good chance I wasn't going to be a flat earther if I kept going the route I was, because every time I'd research something and get an understanding of it, it didn't fit on flat earth. So to answer that question, I was definitely not one person who would hear some bullshit being said and not say something. I would say something. I had more debates with flat earthers on religion, how things work, than I did with globers as a flat earther. I had a lot of different views, a lot.
Right. So I suppose the next question then is, if you were listening to one of these discussions where a flat earther was saying, no, you're wrong, it's just lies, we've been lied to all our lives, government's lying to us, they're hiding the truth and everything else.
It's not connected. It wasn't connected to me there.
But if people are in a situation like yourself who had questions, do you think that actually helps the cause in getting those answers, to hear that sort of just outright denial of explanations of what they're being told? Or do you think it helps pushing towards getting more answers?
It unfortunately can go three ways. They can either realize, wow, why are they not answering anything? And then they start questioning or pushing themselves to go research it. There's they don't care, like Seek and Find in the chat. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter what someone says. If they're flat earth, go flat earth. That's the other one. And then there's someone who, like I said, you'll hear it and then question it, call flat earth out on it themselves, because, hey, I'm a flat earther. Shouldn't I want the truth? Shouldn't we be asking why these things are happening the way they are, and they don't match on flat Earth. And then, I'm sorry, there's a fourth, and I'm realizing this is probably the majority of flat Earth. Truth seekers that need a brand. Matrix in the chat, he's one of them. Dan the Waterman, he's one of them as well. Not so much flat Earth as conspiracy theorists that found a place they can say their stuff. So I mean, it's a toss up. Like, again, when I left flat Earth, I honestly thought completely different about flat Earth than I do now. Over the months, I've gotten nothing but a progressionary let down, we'll say, by how many are actually truthers. There's a difference between I'm a flat earther and I'm a truther. And if you hear someone say that they're flat earth and truther at the same time, they are lying. They don't keep it real. They're not interested in facts at all.
So would you class somebody who says they're a flat earther, somebody who accepts that we live on a flat earth, that's their opinion, it's not going to change, and the truther is somebody who actually wants answers to the questions and to the contradictions when they're researching stuff?
Exactly. A truther is someone who goes into everything, or goes into it non-biased. Now, understanding and drive for what side, it's very random. I couldn't tell you how much someone else is going to want it more than, flat Earth versus globe. But the reality is, a truther is looking for truth. Normally, a truther will not tell you they're a flat earther. A truther doesn't. Let's put it this way: the shape. This is like the most far-fetched and leaping bound for attention that I've seen. Flat Earth is not a conspiracy. How about the conspiracies that need to be talked about before you start talking about the shape of the Earth? Because when you realize that it is a globe, you'll realize how much time you wasted. Luckily, I was not and I had to tell Great Doxy this over and over again. I was not a flat Earth proof guy. You did not come to my streams to get educated on flat Earth or get some fucking, black book fucking document that proved we were on flat Earth. No, I didn't do that stuff. That's another sign. Someone who's a real truther tends not to tell you what's happening all the time. They have to want to know what's going on themselves. They ask questions. They do a lot of researching, and they're not afraid to say, oh fuck, I was wrong. Those are telltale signs.
Right. So that actually sort of brings me on to the next point, because first of all, thank you for the article. I'm working my way through it because it's very interesting. On the atmospheric seeding and stuff, the one thing I personally haven't looked into is what are the conspiracy theories about why we're doing it. Like, I'm sure you've seen some of the stupid videos that people have played about people spraying vinegar solution towards, right? So what are the theories that they're purporting for why we're doing this atmospheric seeding and stuff?
Or are you asking from the standpoint of why they're doing it, or
why? For what reason do the conspiracy-minded people think they're doing it for?
Oh my God! The most far-fetched one, probably the one that agitates me the most, is Magellan's. You ever heard of that one?
No, I haven't. As I said, I haven't got into that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's sort of why I'm asking.
Okay.
Somebody who like you, who's willing to actually look at both sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. So you give a balanced viewpoint. So that's why I'm asking you the questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no worries. Yeah. Okay, so first I'll start off on with how I got to Magellan's, because so what happens is there's a large sect of chemtrailists that will tell you that the government is spraying these things called nanobots. Well, guess what? Nanobots are real. Now, again, not same thing. Nanobots basically are the same things they put in your body when, say, you have a heart attack. Well, they have these little cameras, robots, basically, that they can put in your bloodstream. They go through your heart, and guess what? You get so in depth of data about what's going on in there. It's crazy. That's what nanobots are. That's what that's what nanobots are used for. Better yet, because there's other reasons. But the conspiracy side of it is that they're spraying these in the sky. It lands on people and then infects them for, I don't know, population control, I guess. Here's where it gets, yeah. It's a bad one. Here's where it becomes only conspiratorish, and how I know this is not possible. For one, this is like the number one, and I usually like a discussion about this with someone who believes in Margellans usually ends right about here. Why didn't they just give it to you at the doctor's? Like real shit. More people will see the doctor than get sprayed and these things hit you. Now, here's why I instantly knew it was bullshit. So the annual Margellans count is 300,000 per year. Just so happens that Lyme disease has 300,000 per year. Here's the other part. Lyme disease, or Margellans, has a lot of, we'll say 90% of the same characteristics as, you said it, Lyme disease. Now, if you, and trust me, go look at the symptoms of Lyme disease and then look at the symptoms for Margellans. In my opinion, again, I'm not sure, you're echoing they and them. In my opinion,
sorry.
Yeah, no worries. In my opinion, I feel, and I think that the medical field feels the same way in a sense, because let me make it clear. There have been random Margellan, what do you call them, diagnosis, not by any large known doctor or anything. Lots of studies. It seems to be a Lyme disease on steroids, maybe a Lyme disease mutation, but it's not nanobots, and they're not real. Like, and here's the other fun part. So they report that they're pulling fibers out of their skin. Probably were. We have fibers in our body. And guess what? If, say one gets closer to the surface of the skin, you're going to notice it, and you may actually itch it and pull a small piece of what seems to be a fabric out, but that is really just what's in our body. Many reports, many documents, you can go and look it up. It's not abnormal like that, and it's definitely not government bots. Here's another, and this is the realization of it. If you were to spray over a population of people, what would happen is you'd have pockets of these Margellans accounts. You would have a smaller number, because it's going to, people are inside, they're not going to get hit. But the realization is that we're going to see pockets of it wherever they spray. Whereas in these Margellan cases are the same number as Lyme disease, but spread out throughout the United States. If they were spraying that much, then we would all have it. We would all have to have been outside enough. Now, where do they get these things from? Well, the fact that nanobots are real. If you look for Google, if you Google patent search nanobots, you're going to find 1,000 patents up for it. If you Google search nanobots in medical field, you're going to find a bunch of reports and documents about nanobots they use for medical procedures. But none of them are to infect people, ever. All the studies say the same thing. They're not going to diagnose Margellans. They're not going to call it. They don't know what it is. They don't have a name for it because they don't understand it. But from all accounts and diagnosis that have come about, it seems to be, this is what the doctors also are saying, but without 100% understanding, it seems to be a Lyme disease mutation. That's as good as they're going to get right now.
Well, let's assume for some reason that the conspiracy theorist has it correct. The one thing I find hard to understand in their thinking about it is if these nanobots were being spread into the atmosphere for that purpose, how would the people who's authorizing the spraying of it to not randomly get hit by these nanobots themselves?
Exactly. That's the other wonderful fact of it. The same reason martial law will not, a mass, camp takeover will not happen by our Marines, but by private, is the same reason why the government isn't spraying nanobots over our heads, because they have kids and families.
Yeah, also, there's these things called birds.
Yeah, they'd have it too.
That might get in the way.
Yeah, they definitely would have it. No friends or buts about that one.
And all the other animals that live outside, like what they can miraculously make these nanobots that can fly through the atmosphere without getting affected by wind or anything, and actually land on only people. It's a bit of a far-fetched conspiracy.
Yep. And I think once you've gone down that quote unquote rabbit hole far enough, there is an issue where if you were wrong, I can't go back now. That's a problem. Again, if you're really a truther, being wrong is just part of the game. It happens, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah, I'm halfway through Mick West's book. Mick West is the Metabunk guy.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through his book, and he's just got past the flat earther, and he's now onto the chemtrail thing. And it's really interesting because he delves into it and brings up cases of what got people into that conspiracy, and then the reasons why it's not a conspiracy, and then goes into a little bit of the psychology of why people still think this is what happens. So it's good because he's not being biased towards his view. He's looking at both sides of the argument and then making the conclusion,
but
which is really good.
Here's the problem I have with Mick West. It's an act. And here's why I say it's an act. And he's playing a part. Because when Mick West came around in the beginning, he was very much so, flat earthers are dumb, conspiracy theorists are dumb. But here's what happened. He figured out how to talk to people and make it so they don't hate you. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing. But like, again, I've been a conspiracy theorist far before, so I knew who Mick West was. But he's very condescending when he's talking to someone who is, say, advanced in that topic. For instance, the guy I listen to for all he's like my weather modification guru. I'm not sure if you heard him. His name is Jim Lee from Climate Viewer. He gives the best factual conspiracy theorist opinion. Again, he does have stuff that I don't agree with, as in, it goes too far. But at the same time, he's not going into nanobots. He doesn't play that game. He tries to report as best as he can, I'll say. He definitely, in my opinion, has the most factual stuff. He comes out with with the documents and all the other good stuff, locations, the whole nine. Actually, now that I remember, I'll go ahead and show you, because we were talking about cloud seeding, and you had said something about possibly them doing it or something, and and on that website that I was just telling you about, it's called Climate Viewer 3D. I'm going to go there right now, and I'll share it here. It's a badass website. Basically, it gives you the opportunity to to visually see and see what's really going on, if you, and this isn't even the whole aspect of it, but like you have a better idea of how often it's really happening. Because, for instance, cloud seeding's been going on for a very long time. And if I would have had this, I would have been able to show it.
Yeah, they were using it back in World War II to curb radar.
Yeah. And see,
when they found out about it.
And that was the other thing. Like, I realized real quick, like HARP. I realized HARP is a technology. It's not an agency. That recording where the Army general, or I don't know who it was, said that we control the weather or the ionosphere. That was very much so a medical. I read into it deeper. It was very much so a very military answer. At the time, and the real purpose for HARP, and I'm not saying HARP isn't used for illegal, against treaties and weather modification type stuff. I still think they do. But there's always a reason they're there. And the reason they started was 100% to, was to basically control the chatter. At that point, that was when they knew you could bounce radio signals off the ionosphere, make further signal communications. Well, if you can control that, you control the sky, is what he said. AKA,
HARP was designed to create, what did they say, disruptions in the ionosphere that allowed radio signals to burst through.
Yep,
that was part of my investigation into it.
And in that said, I do believe that when used, that HARP technology is capable of doing other things. In my opinion, I think they're able to do earthquakes. It's not as simple, it's not like, fuck Japan, fuck this place, we're doing it right now. There are seismic readings that show you, while HARP's being used, plates acting a little bit more aggressive, I guess you would say. Not in the sense of producing every time, but we've had earthquakes in the same pattern that don't seem right. So that's all I'm saying with that. I'm not claiming, I'm just saying. But like I said,
it's an anomaly.
Yes, very much so. So I was saying, basically, this is the website I was talking to you about, where you can actually see where all this stuff is going on. So start with cloud seeding. That didn't work. We'll try it again. Work this time. Oop. Fine, let's do it manually.
MC Toon, Earth-shaped discussion with Gleam. Puh.
What, I don't get it. What are they? Gleam is he's a glober. He's not a fucking flat earther. What's the debate?
I think he may be speaking to McToon about the electric universe and the possibilities of that.
Oh, this is a different fucking topic. I don't want this one.
Gleam talking about electric universe. He works in telephones.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about electric universe lately, and I still don't know anything more than I did before. It's aggravating.
Right. So, Sean, when you were doing your research into CO2 and methane, did you go down the path of getting rid of domestic animals like cows to reduce the amount of methane they're putting into the air, etc.?
The problem, I did. The problem with that would be then you have to up the crops or vegetate, the veggies and stuff. And in a little unknown FYI for everyone, one of the biggest climate change issues that we're having is crops, farming, because what happens is 80%, or I think it's 60% of the crops that are grown are not eaten. They're waste, whether that be through the harvest, the transport, or no one buys it. It's so basically, to make it simpler, the emissions made to produce the crops, to get the crops to market, and then to waste, landfills, is far more than it's worth. So if you then take away meat, so to speak, cows, you're going to have to amp that up, which means you're going to have more loss. So there's no real solution in veganism, which is what a lot of people are pushing to. It literally is a balanced diet. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's and so the other thing with the crops as well is the disruption of all the bugs as well. All the pesticides, everything like that. We're trying to control every part of farming and everything like that. And I understand if you're looking for major crops, but if we're throwing so much away, then there is a big issue.
Yep. And with the methane, here's the thing. I don't think it's the cows. It's funny to think that way. I'm pretty sure it's not the actual cows that are doing it. They're making the readings what they are. That's the sick part. I think they just blame cows because people are like, cow farts.
No, but see, this is one of the things that I find strange about climate change and the alternative technologies to actually start to address the problem, is that biogas is not one of those technologies that's actually been pushed forward to help with that problem.
The reason would be fossil fuel industry. Again, they're not going to take themselves out of business, and they're not going to let it happen. I don't know where the hell it is. I'm going to find it. What I'm going to do is basically, I got to fucking search through all my files, but I have documents that show basically when the whole climate or the IPCC report came out and government started talking about, about readapting how the Paris Agreement worded things, which again, also the London Protocol, that one is one that started allowing ocean fertilization. It's pretty sick. But basically, they told Saudi Arabia, okay, we're going to make you guys do stuff for climate change, but don't worry, we'll make it up to you. We'll make sure you don't lose money. So what they're doing is they're basically propaganding the shit out of climate change. Nothing's changing. Nothing. I'm telling you right now. I'll show you guys documents and reports. Nothing's changing. They're not using less fossil fuels anywhere. Matter of fact, they've ramped production up. Investors are still investing. Banks are still investing in these companies. Trump is releasing regulations. Like, they can say they are over and over again, but it's pretty fucking obvious. The last thing in the world they're going to be doing is less fossil fuels, at least for the next 20 years, which is when we're supposed to be at 45% renewable.
Yes, right, and I don't have any disagreement with that last statement at all. But if you take a look in Europe anyway, the alternative energy supply markets are effectively solar, wind, and hydro.
Well, then,
and
guys, who's that?
Sorry, go on ahead.
Who does that affect the most?
In what terms?
In terms of making money. So, fossil fuels, coal, all those companies they would be essentially put out of business under the IPCC report if we looked at it that way, right?
Yes.
Not going to happen. And
No. But those are the technologies that, as renewable sources, those are the technologies that are being pushed to the public. Yet things like biogas, which I actually had the opportunity to work with a company that was looking to actually build one, and I got to go to a couple of biogas plants in Germany. And what they can do with the waste products from the dairy industry, from abattoirs and stuff, is quite good. And it is a viable source of natural gas or of methane gas to produce electricity.
You ready?
Yeah,
because
they do that down here as well.
You don't make enough. Doesn't make enough money.
No, not at all. Actually, the strangely enough, the dump does that.
Yep.
They funnel out. They actually provide energy for the electric company down here. That's how much energy they get out.
Yeah, landfill sites are, the methane gas is generally pumped to some sort of collection station or direct into a power plant for combustion.
Not here in Southern California. Yeah. Here, we pipe it to the surface of the landfill, to the bottom, the layer, the liner, and it dissipates on its own, straight out into the atmosphere.
Yeah, and this is why I'm wondering why technologies like biogas, because effectively it's the same process in a landfill, that as the material breaks down. The other advantage with things like biogas is you actually end up with an extremely vitamin-rich material that you can then use to grow crops, as opposed to having to mine phosphates and manufacture nitrates out of the ground as well. So you end up benefiting both ends of the process.
Well, the main part would be, to start doing that, a city or a state, I don't know how it works where you guys live. Here it'd be the city. They're not going to put the money forth to make sure their landfills are doing that in a bigger sense. More importantly, what are the fossil fuel companies going to do? And here's the kicker. The lifting of regulations on methane does something. It means the value goes way down. They're telling companies, hey, store your methane, because in the future it may be worth something. Methane technology, in a sense, I guess you would say, or capture, it's dead basically. They found the emission that will make them money. CO2, more oil. CO2 can be converted into a fuel. They found the cash cow. Everything else doesn't matter now. You're not going to hear about nitrogen oxide, or whatever the fuck it is. You're not going to hear about that anymore. All you're going to hear about is the CO2 and global warming, because the two things that will make the most are on the table now. We're not hearing about everything else. The reason afforestation and biochar and all those other solutions will not be implemented, there's no money in them. You don't make money doing that.
I know in Europe you do, because you get quite good subsidies for selling renewable energies into the grid, and in some countries you can actually choose to pay more money per unit of your electricity. And so let's say you have a city of 10,000 people, and half of them decide to pay that extra money. It's legislated by the government that all the units of electricity they use must actually come from a renewable source, such as biogas, solar, etc.
Nice. Yeah, I do know that. I mean, there are places out there that are trying. The issue is that the big components like China, Saudi Arabia, like, they can give a shit less about this climate shit. Well, U.S. now, if they're not going to be willing to play ball, understand that the whole geoengineering, solar radiation management, is not going to work. It's going to start a war, to tell you the truth.
Yes, because one country would be doing what suits them better than looking at the system as a whole.
Yep, and here's the thing. If you look at it as a system as a whole, it's not going to work. Hear me out. It is literally impossible for them to perform solar radiation management, which is the spraying of aerosol sulfates over the whole world, fast enough and evenly enough to not affect somewhere differently and for the worse. Which means there's going to be natural disasters where there's not normally natural disasters of that magnitude that we're going to have to deal with. And the solution for that is, David Keith and his partner came out with this one. It's called a state geoengineering insurance policy. Your states can now buy insurance just in case something is destroyed due to geoengineering aspects.
Just say what now?
Now you can buy homeowners insurance, car insurance. Well, now, like, for instance, I live in the United States, so each state now has the ability to buy a geoengineering insurance. An insurance that says if, say, a freak hurricane hits San Diego, because we don't get hurricanes, the state will then have that insurance and federal government will help.
But wouldn't that go against the fact that, as far as I understand, the UK or in the US, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can't insure against acts of God? So wouldn't the insurance companies just turn around and say, "Well, no, it was an act of God"?
Yeah. Well, guess what? They'll have that option because, again, you can't. Since there's not enough evidence or reports, you can't exactly say that was from this. But if you're able to. Geoengineering isn't God made; it's man made. So therefore, it's not an act of God. It's
yes, but
remember, here's the thing. Each state in the United States has to agree to geoengineering. It's not just the federal government. Because remember, that's how it's set up. So the states vote and all that stuff. For instance, for wherever you live, if there are states, countries, or something, that separately vote for one bigger government, they all have to agree to this. So what they've done is, and this is very weird, so because they can't make anybody get this insurance, this is how it will work. And it's a global insurance. Everyone can buy it. If your neighbor doesn't want to do geoengineering, then they can't outright buy their insurance. But your neighbor who does have geoengineering insurance, they will have to help you out because you're right. They have the insurance and you're right there, and it's a friendly thing to do, and vice versa. And if they don't, we'll charge them a penalty because if we're not doing the solar radiation management there, then it could affect you. So you can sue them now. See where that gets real funky? So
because you agreed to something, the other person gets affected by it.
Yep.
Yeah, now I understand exactly what you said at the start of the show about money driven.
Yep. And mind you, they're telling countries that are signed on to, like, hey, yeah, let's do geoengineering. They're telling them, if your neighbor doesn't do it, you're liable. So what's that guy going to do? He's going to go try to convince the next country, hey, you need to do this. Vice versa. So yeah, there's issues, serious ethical issues that I'm talking about, and Barney definitely helped me come a long way in this talk because I was very insanely biased against it. But I realized that solutions don't just come about. So I do get there are ups and downs, but here's the thing that they're not doing: being honest at all. And I have a
theory that will prove flat Earth. We can link to this.
Nanobots.
If satelloons are real, if we start making them out of reflective material, then we can help prevent climate change. Because if there's that many of them up there, we should be able to protect against some of the solar radiation.
That is, well, they are true. Are there, but I think you're talking about in the numbers of actual signals and stuff we have now.
Yes,
I mean, but and that's FYI. Anyone who didn't know, yes, there are something called artificial satellites that are really stratoballoons. They used them in China during the Olympics and stuff like that. But there's no way they could have the range that a real satellite does. And if you're saying that there are no satellites, then like they and them just said, our skies would be full of stratoballoons to get that type of range that we get now. And yes,
also
at that point, Earth would be flat because we'd all be going crazy.
yeah, the perfect problem with the flat Earth is they claim things that happen due to a atmospheric gradient, yet they don't believe in the atmospheric gradient.
Or gravity.
Oh, gravity.
Well, that's part of it. And that's the realization of it. Every argument they have to, like, here's the thing, and I realize this. Taking gravity out of the equation really does put the globe in a hectic spot, because a lot of shit is affected due to gravity. Hate to tell everyone, gravity is a big part of where we live and how we live, and giving explanations for it. So that's why so many flat earthers attack gravity like they do.
Yeah, because a few scientists turned around and said, we don't completely understand gravity. They ran with it. That, oh, you don't know gravity anymore, blah, 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 you change it, blah, blah, blah. No, we know it exists.
Oh, and
okay,
oh yeah, and I was just, someone in the chat just said something, because I was over at the 24/7 talking about the same thing, and explaining to them that why would we need to know the source of gravity to know what we know about gravity now? My favorite analogy is, even if we only know 1% of all there is to know about gravity, what we know is fact. What we know is gravity. And yes, there could be 99% more to learn, but up until right now, this 1% we have found to be true.
Yeah, we know what we know because it's provable, it's testable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they keep complaining about. Can you repeat it? Can you test it? Can you? Shit falls at an accelerated rate. That's it. That's gravity in a nutshell.
Yep.
Shit falls and it gets faster as it falls.
And just in case Rumpus ever listens to this, Rumpus, gravity goes upwards.
Yes, the planet does move slightly towards the object falling, but it's so minuscule you won't see it.
Rumpus was having an argument with Barney the other day about the actual direction of gravity.
Oh, Barney has gone into a realm of devil's advocate 107. He loves doing that. That's why I'm so adamant about gravity being a force, because of him now. And that statement does not mean general relativity is not correct either. So figure it out. That's my favorite one. So you're saying no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, it's people misunderstand Newton's law of gravitational attraction. It's not the law of gravity. It's the law of how gravity affects attraction between masses. Okay, they talk about semantics all the time. Well, this is where they fucked up the semantics.
Very true.
And yeah, Barney is the devil's advocate.
He doesn't bullshit in that. That's what pisses me off, because I want to get mad at him for lying about something, but he's not lying. He's not even giving you a false interpretation of it. He's giving you the other truth side about it. Gravity is a force.
Yep.
Gravity is not a force. They're both accurate statements. Period. How was anything I just said about gravity false? Gravity is a force. Gravity is not a force. Both statements are
sure as hell works when my head hits the ground.
Yeah, but take your ass out to space at the speed of light. Don't worry about it. It won't hurt. It's going to be fast.
God, that's the other one that I find funny. How can something move as fast as the speed of light? Light.
I have a question, and this is called the truther part of my brain. So, the expansion. How does that work? Because Grayson, Doc's, fuck my bad. So difficult not to do that.
Whoopsie.
She said that the expansion, because in my opinion, the universe is infinitely expanding out. Out from me? No. We are not the center of the universe, but out. She said that everything is expanding from everything at the speed of light, which means we are expanding from a galaxy next to us, blah, 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 or whatever. That doesn't make sense to me. Correct me where
No,
I'm wrong.
because Barnard's star is coming towards us, not away from us.
So when we say
So
the universe
that
is
analogy
expanding,
is wrong.
we're just looking at the Hubble constant. We're looking at stars that are going away from us, and that's how we know it's infinitely expanding. But that doesn't mean we are the center.
Yeah, I have a complaint about Hubble's constant, because it's not constant. It changes all the time.
Right. I was just gonna say, the distance. If everything was moving at the same distance away from us, then the sun would be getting smaller and smaller.
Her argument was full of shit in that as well.
And again, I think this is one of the issues when you get to Barney's level of understanding of the universe, being able to then relay that information back to people who aren't as well educated becomes very difficult.
Yes, and for that being said, can somebody in the chat go over to MC Tune and rip Barney's ass out of there and back here so he can help me answer expansion question? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, who honestly would want to sit through listening to Gleam talk about something he has no viable understanding of?
Yeah, see, the thing is I for like a half a second, I was like, Gleam's pretty damn cool. He has a lot to say. But then I realized, like, he's, like, basically only been on my panel, like, once or twice. And he just bullshitted his way through those. Because now when he talks, I'm like, God, he's really full of shit. He's like a Glober Anthony Riley. Like, he just wants to see if his word salad can work.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you don't know if he's asking a question or just making a statement.
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
Yes. And sometimes you're wondering whether or not, are you trying to argue against me, or I'm not even sure what you're doing right now.
Yes. Yes. Yep. That's exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'll not mention any names. Do you think that perhaps some of the flat earthers actually got into it for it, have the potential to have got into the subject to troll people, and fell so far down the rabbit hole that they now afraid to admit that was all they are doing in the first place?
The answer to that is yes.
Well, I think they're definitely there. We call them flat earth apologetics. But I'm not going to say I know enough, because I didn't surround myself with those people. I've always thought that was weird when you're challenging the shape and you think it's a globe, and you're challenging other globers on science, and it's like it's weird. It's like, well, a lot of flat earthers do that under the guides of flat earth, whereas in those people are doing it under the guides of flat earth apologetics. So maybe they don't want to be flat earthers, but they realize the government's shit. I don't know. Maybe maybe they're the ones that are the real truthers.
I don't know. I got into an argument with one of them, and we went from flat Earth to the baps used in McDonald's weren't actually really bread or food.
Yeah, he just likes arguing.
That's like 33UC in Russian vids. They use flat Earth just to get the rest of their conspiracies out to the world.
Dan the Waterman, that's what he's here for. And that's self-admitted, recorded, if anyone doesn't believe me.
Oh, he couldn't lie straight in bed.
Right.
Well, he didn't lie about it. He just blurted it out like a dumbass. It was funny.
Well, then I'll ask a question to the likes of Demonic and Sean. Do you think there's any point in having somebody like 33UC and Russian vids going onto platforms where they'll come out and accuse things like school shootings,
I lost you at that last part. Last 3 seconds, say again, because I lost you.
Right, so where people like 33UC go onto platforms and trample over the memories of people who were lost in school shootings and events like 9/11, do you think it's worthwhile giving them a platform to put some of those, to allow them the opportunity to put some of those things across?
Yes and no. Yes, because no. Well, here's why.
I think occasionally it's all right.
Yeah, there are situations that if you have evidence.
I'm sorry, Sean. I'm stepping on you.
No. I think we're in that lag. I got the lag thing going on right now. So no worries. Actually, go ahead, Brian. You just got here. I think we actually have the same view on it. So go ahead.
I think it's fine to have them out there occasionally, simply because it helps you understand how truly far gone a person with that mindset really is. And people who are persuaded by that mindset probably weren't playing with the fullest deck, and it's really helpful to have an idea of how those people think.
All right. Well, we're not exactly the same. You definitely thought you were saying something different, but that is one aspect, and you're not wrong. But I was going to say, for every 100 conspiracies with 1,000 facts, one puts puts light to something for someone, whether it be like Pearl Harbor, 9/11, which I do think was a conspiracy, as demonic and just evil as most will say. No, not at all. I think they used it. They didn't know it. They used it. Along with other conspiracies, if you can get the facts out to why you should look into it, that's different. Russian vids and that other guy, they do something that is very red flagging to me. Every single event is an issue. Every single event is a hoax. Every single event is an inside job. That's not possible, and it's not true. Anyone who says and does that, red flag them. Period.
Sean, are you disappointed me in telling me you don't believe in numerology?
Put it this way, as far as they're concerned, not one child has ever been shot in a school shooting, and fuck you for thinking that.
Yeah,
Sean, we were pretty close to the same wavelength then.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, definitely.
Having watched 33UC on with Team Skeptic and Fight the Flat Earth and Steve McRae the other day, he came in saying he had proof of the flat Earth, and for his first 10 minutes, all he spouted was Sandy Hook that,
no,
9/11
he should have
this,
been
33 this.
Off that panel immediately. Just like I boot fucking Pete Shea if he ever talks about 9/11, because people, that's the thing that really pisses me off. Now, and it's more than I'm a conspiracy theorist and you conspiracy theorists are making me look foolish. It's fuck you. You are disrespecting families that you have no fucking clue what's going on. You decided in a 2-hour YouTube video, or in 2 hours of the incident, on a YouTube video, that you decided you were a professional investigator and you figured it all out. Fuck you.
Okay, I have my own theory about 9/11. Okay, I understand the planes hit the buildings fell down, people died. Okay, but I do think there was something about the fact that people were paid to get on those planes to do the job, and that there were certain people involved that aren't disclosing that information correctly.
Yeah, I can see how that. And there are conflicting issues with the interviews that they had. Again, like I said, I don't think it was not an inside job, not at all. Nope, not even a little bit. But to have intel and then decide whether or not you're going to look into it more or not.
Yeah, wasn't it James Woods that put the report in?
Yeah, well, no, so this is what happened. There were 4 detainees that they had, and they were what do you call them? Defectants. I think Iraqi they were part of the militia, whatever the fuck it was. And they said, by the way, there's a planned terrorist attack, and Saddam Hussein still has weapons of mass destruction. And they went, ooh. Now, a lot of people didn't know that Saddam was under probably the sanctions Trump just put on Iran.
Yeah, he was under the same thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, that Iran sanction became so tough, like the worst one ever put on, because it actually surpassed the one they had on Saddam. They threatened him, and Saddam said, "Hey, take me off these sanctions, or I'm not going to use the U.S. dollar in trade anymore." And it sounds little, but believe it or not, Saddam basically kept terrorists at bay when it came to Saudi Arabia, Iraq, kept them pretty much all in Afghanistan. He was like the police of terrorists. Not that he was a terrorist, but they weren't able to go to Iraq and hide. They weren't able to go to certain places and hide because Saddam wasn't going to be attached to it, so it didn't happen. That's why everything turned to shit when we found him. But to think, oh well, we need to invade if we can get into these places, and it does have a lot to do with the plan of action. Iran, Saudi, Sudan, or whatever the fuck it was. That whole speech he had. That's true. I believe that's the plan. And 9/11 happening was part of it. Part of something that needed to happen to ensure that you would have the ability to do something. We're going to war happened too fast. The report of what happened. We knew who had done it before the towers fell. No, I don't believe it. You don't know that kind of shit unless you know that kind of shit.
Yeah, well, the news that came to light to me, and it was only a few days that it came to my attention, was that the Friday before the Tuesday, that James Woods had reported that a particular terrorist was on a flight he was on in the United States, and no one did anything about it.
And
5 days.
And to go along with that, here's another thing. Has anyone else noticed that we haven't had a terrorist attack since? No one noticed that, huh?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of missing links and stuff like that happened with it. But regardless, to say that it never happened or anything like that is absolutely insane.
Like I said, fuck you. If you think every shooting was a hoax, fuck you. That's the new motto.
Yeah. I mean, Parkland is only an hour away from where I'm at.
But Sean, you have to remember that the bottom line is that everything I say is 33.
No, fuck off.
Put it this way, if numerology is real, win the fucking lotto and then come talk to me.
Yeah. All these numerology guys can't even win Division 5 or Division 6 in a lottery. You win Division 1, then come and tell me that your numbers work.
Oh, my favorite, I love saying this name because I hate him. Bro Sanchez, he does that. 30. He'll be like,
Sanchez.
He'll be like 14, the number of this and that, and this, that means flat Earth.
Yeah. He just adds numbers to get to the right number.
He's been bullshitting and promoting free energy for 2.5 years now. not once in his life shown it. He has it. He or he knows someone who has done it, and he knows the answers. Has not shown once, but says it every stream. Free energy this, free energy that. Show it. I gotta go.
Yeah, but sure, we had Spurs on the other day, and one of his arguments was that time is not a variable in the scientific method.
Oh no! Not only that, he says that time is not. He says that time is constant.
Yes, but then he also, an hour later in the same stream, he asked to measure the time it took something to fall in a vacuum.
I got another saying. If you sit down with Chemo Spurs over and over again and listen to his arguments, fuck you. You guys are the motherfuckers that keep that dumbass around. I hate Spurs. Matter of fact, saying them, this is one thing I didn't say. Spurs, honestly, is part of the reason I left Flat Earth. When I was at that server, I started to hear what dumbass Flat Earthers were saying. And it made me realize there's no way in hell I could ever back that type of person and or agree to anything he's saying could be about Flat Earth. So,
all right, well then I'll just say it then. I think Spurs isn't a flat earther.
He's not at all. He's a snake oil salesman. He's in it for the fun.
I think he got into it for a troll.
Yep.
And he let the troll go on so long that he's now afraid to actually admit that's what he was doing.
He is Spurs. That's him now. He's not a flat earther. Not at all. There's no way in hell he's a flat earther. I call him a snake oil salesman. And he doesn't bring, trust me, no one is going to Flat Earth because of Spurs. Don't worry.
No.
Talking to Spurs is only good for Spurs. That's why I stopped doing it. I used to beg Spurs to debate me. Now, I won't even let him on my panel. I don't want nothing to do with him. I won't even debate, discuss nothing with him. Everything out of his mouth is a troll.
Yeah, and then when he gets cornered, he plays a victim card. Like somehow everyone on the panel has mistreated him.
I've been hearing Spurs for 3 years. I'm done. I don't care. I was in the realm of sticky air. If you don't know what sticky air is, that's how long I've been talking to Spurs. Longer than this atmosphere thing is ridiculous. Like he was talking, there was an atmosphere 2 years ago. How the fuck is it flat? Because there's no atmosphere and shit? Shut up, Spurs.
Then you were on there when Spurs was asked to explain how he came to the conclusion that there was no pressure, and his response was, "Well, I can't directly sense it, therefore I don't have to look for it."
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, the term sticky air was a Chemo Spurs original. He said, I don't even remember the argument anymore. All I know is I made 2 memes for it. One, a bird flapping its wings but not going anywhere. And then the next meme was the bird on a dinner plate. If we had sticky air, hunters would love it.
Duck hunting would be easy.
Yep, and that was 2 years ago. Easy 2 years ago.
What are you talking about? Duck hunting is easy.
Yeah, you go to the store or the restaurant. They'll even chop
and
the
say,
head
"I'll have that duck."
Yep.
If you want a real challenge, go snipe hunting.
What, snake?
Snipe, SNIPE. It's a bird smaller than the size of your fist.
Never actually seen somebody come back with a snipe before.
You mean a hummingbird?
I've actually managed to hit 6. Yes, they're a bird, and to eat them, you pluck them, cut their legs and head off, and you cook them with the intestines and everything inside them.
You're a dick. And like, Russia, how many would it take to fill up?
You just use it as a start. You typically have 2 as a starter, and then what you do, and I promise you guys, if you ever get the chance, this is beautiful. You take once you roast the snipe, you take out the insides, and you take the heart, the liver, and the kidney, and you put it on fried bread with a little bit of tomato ketchup, and it is the best pate you will ever taste in your life.
I was hungry. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not hungry now.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, if a snipe is as big as a hummingbird, I'm sorry, that's just a dick kill move. Like, I'm gonna kill you. You won't fulfill me, but you're a good appetizer. Is there a
Also,
lot
they
of
and
them?
them, all the Americans are assuming that you're lying because we actually have a tradition called snipe hunting, where you send the kids in, where you send all the kids that are on their first ever hunt alone in the woods with trash bags and brooms, and you're gonna make them walk through the thicket and catch snipes.
I've never heard that.
Be careful.
I don't live in a country like that either. So
the racist is in.
who?
Didn't you see Jose's? Yeah, you're a racist because of your race.
Wait,
no.
you didn't know Carlos was racist? His comments didn't let me do that months ago.
The impossible racist is what you mean to say.
Impossible.
Yeah.
No, it's possible. I've heard it.
I know it's a joke.
Make
Oh, you
fun
heard it from me?
comments. Yeah. You should have a Klan's hat on.
A what head?
A Klan. You know, like the whole costume.
A clan?
Oh, Carlos the KKK Pagan.
There you go.
Then you could go out and pull your own Tyrone Biggums.
There you go. I don't suggest doing it though, Carlos. As funny as it sounds.
No, only do it when Channel Q comes on.
What the hell happened with that? Like, did she go off on somebody again?
Oh, she was just being obnoxious.
What was the conversation? Was it flat Earth again?
Everybody's out to destroy the world. It's all everything's disinformation, and man as in humankind are destroying the earth. And what are any of the panelists doing to actually ensure that what the government are telling us is actually going to happen?
Since
she was on this rant
with that
before.
Swedish girl who filed suit at the UN then?
See, I told her about this because she was like, get off the internet. And I was like, well, if we get off the internet, then we can't, spread the word. And she goes, it doesn't matter. You got to, actually do something. I went, well, then how would you get your message out? Like, how do you tell people about it if you're not on the computer anymore? Can't take it away. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, apparently we're indoctrinated that we're going to go to the moon and that we're going to go to Mars and that it's all fake and that we're not going to do it.
You guys are just repeating loud.
I'm not 100% on the moon landings, but it's 2019, people. I hope the shit we go to Mars to the moon. And if they do, we'll see how that goes. And if it goes smoothly, then I think they win.
Here's how it goes. Why haven't we gone back? We go back. Why are we going back? Why are we spending the money? Oh, it looks fake. We didn't go back. It's just, it doesn't matter. There's always something going to be said.
Oh yeah. And again, if your narrative can't change, if your narrative can't change and you're one-sided to something like that, red flag. And then I even said this the other day. Fuck lying or not lying to anybody. Are you comfortable lying to yourself? If you are, have fun. Shit. Trust me, there are people out there that I come across that know it's not flat. They just don't want to admit they know it's flat. It's not flat. And I'm talking to themselves.
Brian, what are you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize my pussy that was on. I was making a caprese salad.
Salad dropper.
It's not much. No, there's a bunch of chopped tomatoes, some mozzarella with a bit of feta, chopped up bits of salami,
Jesus
dressed in a Greek dressing.
Fucking Christ, how gay of a fucking salad can you make? Anyway,
who has time for all that?
What would you put in your salad? Bacon?
Actually, yes. Just bacon.
Just bacon, a bacon salad.
Parmesan and Italian dressing, maybe. But I was just, it was more in the sense of when people are describing what they're making, it's usually like meat at a barbecue or something. Usually not a salad.
You're the type of guy that would sit in the bus and man spread. How dare you?
What did you just say to me? What is man spread?
I'd have a bowl of bacon. A bowl of bacon.
Sitting with your legs open while you're on the bus.
Yeah.
So your balls have somewhere to go.
Yeah, I have feeling in my balls, and I don't like squishing them. Sorry, Carlos. Oh wait,
I understand.
wait, Carlos.
I can relate. No, wait,
Carlos,
wait.
you comfortably cross your legs?
No, heck no. I will die.
Liar. You're a liar.
My pitch goes right up when I do that.
I don't even know. Yeah. I can't even talk.
Anyway.
Hi, Sean. I just crossed my legs for you.
Sean, did you say you were a barbecue person?
No. I mean, I do eat it, but
no. Yeah, he plays with Barbies.
Yeah, I did when I was a kid.
Who's not a barbecue person, though?
What I used to do is I used to call him Carlos.
What?
Barbies are Carlos.
Yes.
Especially when he shaved. So you like baked beans?
No. I hate beans.
You know, beaner, you know? Okay.
Oh, I know what you meant. But no, I wasn't going to say that. That's rude.
Look, if any of you like barbecue, try this. Venison marinated in mango chutney with brown sugar, red wine, salt, pepper, and fresh diced onions.
See, Brian, that sounded good. Not a salad.
See, it sounded good all the way up until the mango. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of mango.
You know what? I'm just gonna go to Jack in the Box. I'm just gonna go to Carl's Jr. and get a barbecue sandwich. How about that? So much faster.
There you go.
That's the most aggravating thing.
Sean, would you have preferred my seafood gumbo that have 4 types of meat in it?
I would be better with a Big Mac, because guess what? I'm hungry now. I don't have an hour and 45 minutes to eat for 10. I don't know how you guys do that. I hate that. Like,
I had 4 burgers. Yeah, I mean, like back to back, because I don't have time for that.
That's the one thing that deterred me from cooking. I'm hungry now. Why am I cooking this shit?
That's because when I cook a gumbo, I've got food for the next 5 days.
I don't think like that. I think now.
Well, see, that's chili. That's like a Sunday. You set the chili going on a Sunday.
Yeah, but see, I need something to be eating while that's happening.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, like you make bacon and you stand there and make chili.
Well, I'm gonna eat the bacon